South Carolina has a mountain lake so crystal clear you can see straight to the bottom 60 feet down. And the only way to reach the waterfalls feeding it is by kayak. Most people driving through this state have never heard of it. I'm working through hidden gems in every state. The places the brochures skip, the parks most travelers drive past, the corners the locals keep to themselves. South Carolina has more of them than you'd expect. And today we're covering 5 of the best. The free tier starts in the northwest corner of the state at Sassafras Mountain, the highest point in South Carolina at 3,560 feet. Paved road up, free parking near the summit, short walk to an observation tower with 360-degree views into North Carolina and Georgia. No fee, no permit. Open from 1 hour before sunrise to 1 hour after sunset. It's the kind of place that makes you wonder why nobody talks about it. Near Beaufort, old Sheldon Church Ruins have that same quality. A colonial-era church burned by the British. Rebuilt, then burned again by Union troops in the Civil War. Tall brick arches standing in a grove of live oaks, Spanish moss hanging overhead. Free to visit any time of day. Late afternoon, the golden light comes through the arches at an angle that doesn't photograph well and looks exactly right in person. And then there's Devil's Fork State Park and Lake Jocassee, the one that earns its reputation. A 7,565-acre mountain lake, fed by 4 streams and hidden waterfalls accessible only by boat. The water clarity is unusual for a freshwater lake in the southeast. You can see 60 feet deep on a calm day. Day admission is $8 for adults, $5 for South Carolina seniors, $4 for kids 6 through 15. On Tuesdays, admission is free. This is the only public access to Lake Jocassee, and if you want those waterfalls, this is where you start. If you're new here, hit that like and subscribe button. I'm working through all 50 states from completely free to absolute luxury, and you'll want to be along for the ride. Over at theearnesttraveler.com, I've got a free ultimate adventure planner, budget calculators, packing checklists, the whole thing. Links in the description. The complete travel guide for this video is down there too, with everything we cover in one spot. Stick around to the end. I'll tell you my single favorite pick from this whole video, the one I'd put at the top of my list if it were my trip. The budget tier in South Carolina's Hidden Gem Circuit is where $8 goes a long way. Hunting Island. State Park is worth making the drive for at any budget. Semi-wild Barrier Island near Beaufort. An undeveloped stretch of beach that feels genuinely raw. A working 1875 lighthouse you can climb for $2 above the $8 day fee. And maritime forest trails where you can spend hours without seeing another soul. Tent and RV campsites run $25 to $66 per night. 100 sites total, all with water and electric hookups. 2-night minimum on most reservations. The beach here looks like a place nobody goes, because compared to Myrtle Beach or Hilton Head, almost nobody does. The lighthouse is worth the $2 climb. It operated from 1875 until 1933, stands 132 feet tall, and the view from the top takes in the full sweep of the Barrier Island. Undeveloped maritime forest on one side, open Atlantic on the other. The 167 cast iron steps are original. It's one of the few structures on the island that survived a 1959 hurricane that reshaped the coastline entirely. Edisto Beach State Park, on Edisto Island about 45 miles south of Charleston, has tent sites starting at $25 per night and beachfront campsites from $60 per night. It's a quieter stretch of South Carolina coast, noticeably less developed than the resort areas, and it draws the kind of camper who wants solitude over amenities. 112 campsites in total, tent, RV, and one other type of accommodation we'll cover in the next tier that makes this park stand out. At Devil's Fork State Park, if you're on a budget and want to get out onto Lake Jocassee, the park has on-site rentals through a seasonal concessionaire. Rates change, so check the link in the description for current availability. I want you going to the most accurate source directly. But the access is there, the lake is genuinely extraordinary, and the $8 admission gets you to the water's edge. The all-park passport is worth knowing about for this trip. $99 for non-residents covers day-use admission to all South Carolina state parks for a full year. If you're hitting Hunting Island, Edisto Beach, Devil's Fork, and a few others, the pass pays for itself in a single weekend. A family of 4 hitting 2 or 3 parks on consecutive days will break even immediately. The mid-range tier at South Carolina's Hidden Gems is where the state surprises you. Because what's available at this price point is something most travelers don't expect from a state park system. Edisto Beach State Park has 7 salt marsh cabins on the backside of the island, overlooking Tidal Creek and marsh. 5 one-bedroom units and 2 3-bedroom units. They start at $135 per night with a 2-night minimum. Climate-controlled, fully furnished. Linens included. Screened porch, full kitchen. Compare that to a basic oceanfront hotel room at a resort area on similar dates, and these cabins win on value and experience simultaneously. They book out fast. Reserve as far out as the reservation system allows, especially summer and fall. The setting of those cabins deserves a specific description. You're on the salt marsh side of the island, not the ocean side. So what you have is a screened porch looking out over a tidal creek with marsh grass extending to the tree line. Herons standing in the shallows, dolphins working the creek channel at dusk, and the kind of quiet you can't buy at a resort property. The ocean is a short walk through the park. It's the combination that makes these cabins stand out. Salt marsh in front, Atlantic behind, and nothing else around you. Devil's Fork. State Park offers boat and kayak rentals through a seasonal on-site concessionaire. Rates vary. Check the link in the description for current pricing. The key point: you don't need to own a kayak to reach Lake Jocassee's waterfalls. A half day on the water paddling toward the eastern shore is the experience the park is known for, and the rental option makes it accessible without gear. At Hunting Island, the mid-range play is campsite selection. The beach-facing sites, from $60 per night, put you steps from an undeveloped barrier island, shoreline. The proximity to an essentially wild beach with no resort infrastructure between you and the water is something a hotel 2 miles back from the coast can't replicate regardless of price. If you're basing out of Charleston for the region, mid-range historic district hotels give you a home base for day trips to Hunting Island, Edisto Beach, and the coastal lowcountry without long drives back from a remote campsite. That's a reasonable trade at this tier if you value access over immersion. The geography works. Charleston to Edisto Beach is 50 minutes. Charleston to Hunting Island is 90. The luxury tier in South Carolina's Hidden Gem Circuit is a different kind of luxury. Not a grand resort, but an exceptional private experience in a genuinely wild place. The Edisto Beach Salt Marsh cabins at their best configuration, 3-bedroom units in peak season, represent something rare. A fully furnished cabin at the water's edge on a South Carolina barrier island, screened porch looking out over tidal marsh, at a price point well below a comparable waterfront vacation rental anywhere on the East Coast. They book because the people who find them come back. 2 3-bedroom units sleeping a family or group of friends, with the South Carolina coast outside the door and essentially no development around you. For a true luxury experience on Lake Jocassee, several outfitters in the upcountry South Carolina area around Table Rock and Devil's Fork offer guided full-day charters on the water. A guide who knows where the hidden waterfalls are, how to read the lake conditions, and what to look for in the forest on the eastern shore is a different kind of day than paddling out alone from the state park launch. Rates vary. Check current guided options through the link in the description. And old Sheldon Church Ruins, at any tier, remain free and quietly extraordinary. The luxury version is arriving late afternoon in the off-season, completely alone, when the golden hour comes through the arches and the moss catches the light. No ticket required for that. And that pick I promised you, Lake Jocassee at Devil's Fork State Park. I've covered water in a lot of states, and the clarity of that mountain lake, the waterfalls accessible only by kayak, the quiet eastern shore with no development in sight. It's the single experience in South Carolina's hidden gem tier I'd go back for. $8 to get in, free on Tuesdays, and the memory stays with you. Which one would make your list? Lake Jocassee, Hunting Island, or Old Sheldon Church? Tell me below. Monday, we're doing a full deep dive into Charleston. The food, the history, the architecture, free to luxury. See you there.